Hi everybody, I'm back with another book review. This week I'm talking about Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. I'm pretty sure I have read maybe one or two other books by her. Overall, I thought this was very good. It was a quick and easy read. If you're into sort of the psychological thrillers, you would enjoy this. It has what some people consider an unreliable narrator. It switches perspective between two different characters. There's one character in the current day and age who works at a radio station. She's married. She has a sister who is a little off her rocker, and then you have these journal entries of a little girl who's growing up who is for sure off her rocker. And basically the whole book you're wondering, who wrote these journal entries? Is it our main character who works at a radio station, or is it her sister? And by the end of the book you sort of get an answer as to who wrote it, but also it's confusing about who was responsible for certain actions. So it was a very good read. There's something about these British authors who like to write about normal people who at the surface are just going about their life. They're members of society, but deep down, they are so totally unhinged. And it reminded me of two books in particular. The one book that is a very easy parallel is The Silent Patient. For a large portion of this book, I forgot to mention, the main character is in a coma. She can hear what's going on around her, but she is in a coma after a car accident, and she cannot get herself to wake up, but she can hear people who are in the room, and she kind of goes in and out of consciousness. So this kind of reminded me of that, where you have somebody who is just either unwilling or unable to talk to the people around them, and some of the healthcare professionals, I guess, are actually not that great and are kind of problematic. So that was an interesting parallel between these two books. But it also reminded me of None of This Is True, which was interesting because if you haven't read None of This Is True, first of all, it's one of my favorite books. It's so good. I read it right around the same time as Greenwich Park, and those two books are also very similar. But I think out of the two, this one's my favorite because it again has sort of an unreliable narrator where at the end you figure out that one of the main characters was literally lying to you the entire time. But I also enjoyed it because at the end of this book, the main character, or one of the characters, if I remember correctly, kind of just goes off on vacation as if she got away with everything. And you think she got away with everything, or at least she thinks she got away with everything, but meanwhile, like, authorities are closing in on her, and I'm now second guessing myself. That might have been in Greenwich Park. Yes, it was Greenwich Park, where the main character, one of the main characters, is kind of behind all the chaos. At the end of the book, she goes on vacation, or holiday as they put it, thinking that she totally got away with it, and that she's just gonna go about her life. For Greenwich Park, at least, the authorities are closing in on her. So that's kind of the end of the book is, oh, you thought you got away with it. You didn't. That reminded me of this book as well, because at the end, not to ruin any surprises or ruin any of the plot point, the main character goes on vacation. She thinks she got away with everything. She thinks that she could just move on with her life. And then something shows up, a item of jewelry that is supposed to be gone and is definitely not supposed to be where she is. And so you're like, oh, maybe things are not done and over with. I don't believe we'll get a sequel or anything like that. But it was a good read. It was an interesting read. If you're into None of This Is True, Greenwich Park, any of those like psychological thrillers where it's a quote-unquote normal person who just kind of snaps and is unwell, you would enjoy that book. Okay, next week I'm going to talk about A Funny Story by Emily Henry. This book has been all over the internet for a while now. It's by the same author who did Beach Read, which I now have, and I will eventually read. But this book was highly recommended. So far, so good. I really enjoy it. I think it's really funny, and I think I enjoy the characters. So if you have read either of these two, either Funny Story or None of This Is True, or actually, if you've read Funny Story or Sometimes I Lie or None of This Is True, because also that's a great book and I'd love to discuss it, let me know your thoughts and your feelings, and I will see you guys next week.